Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the WineCellars.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open of 2024. It's Championship Sunday, a great match to kick us off. The semifinal between Tessa Davidson and Yee Ng. Yee, last year's runner-up. Tessa has created quite a resurgence in her career from taking a little bit of an absence from the game. It's kind of the old guard and the new guard going against each other. It's going to be an exciting match. David Burney's in the booth guiding you through this one, and Dave Daly will be the referee at the table. Tune in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV. Look at the Ox Billiards page. That's where you'll find us. And let's begin with frame one and Yee to break. Well, these semifinals are best of seven, so you might see a few of these players going for a few more shots than they would early on. As we get closer to the finish line, it probably will tighten up a little bit. Right now, Yee stands with a high break of the tournament at 90. Are we in store for a century today? Only time will tell. Double kiss. Don't think she's going to be punished too badly for that. First frame of the day, usually you're wanting to gauge in a safety battle to start things, get your opponent to falter first and then attack. And he definitely tried to grab this frame early. Don't blame her. It's always a good confidence booster to get going early on. We are at the Ox Billiards Club in Seattle, Washington. It's been the site of all these U.S. Opens. It's the third installment. Always great to be here. Admission's free. So if you'd like to come down, join us in the Capitol Hill area. 1432 Broadway is where you can find us. We will find out who will be the new U.S. Open champion, as Mink Natcharat got upset last night by Anu from India. If you have any comments or questions, we have an active chat going. Some good discussion all weekend long. I think that might be touching ball. Okay, referee Daly do mention something. Usually, obviously, when the touching ball does take place, the referee does point at which ball it is touching. Nice to see you have some friends tuning in from Canada. Arslan Yami. Strong player up there in the Vancouver area. Hopefully someday he can come down for the Seattle Open. Might be a costly miss for Tessa. Yeah, and you sporting the new, very fancy wardrobe. Definitely A lot of people were excited with her wear yesterday. She dons the gray and pink, and Tessa is in the purple and black. Yes, AJ, hopefully we will see you at the BC Open. Hopefully we see you moving back to Calgary. You can get the scene going out there. We can have a vibrant scene in Alberta. There already is one going there, but hopefully AJ can bring his finesse work to all of it, and we can get that Alberta Open going. It's always a fun tournament. So Tessa's the first one in. Do have to give a big shout out to Fast Eddie's Pool and Snooker in Bainbury, my apologies. Without them, we wouldn't see Miss Davidson over here. She is really appreciative of the sponsorship of that room back in England. So thank you very much, Fast Eddie. It's been great to meet Tessa, a really lovely lady, and does know her way around the table for sure. Her resume is stacked with definitely a lot of wins. And she was in tough last night, had to go to a decider against Narutoya from Mongolia. So great to see a lot of players from all over the world participating in this US Open. Alex just chiming in. Yes, this is the semifinals. The first semifinal today, and the second one will follow this match to conclude with the final a little later on this afternoon. Just when she's getting going, breaks down, so decent little opening 14 break, but she's gifted a chance here for Yee. Nicely done. Got another red into the top right corner. Also has an option of a red into the right middle. Hopefully she can hold after this red for the pink into the right middle. With These great players, you'll see it a lot. Championship Sunday like to keep small, compact shots. Don't want to be throwing that cue ball all around the table. It's really keeping good control. And Yee is one of the best at doing that. Amazing to see yesterday after the tournament concluded for a day, Yee and her coach Alan came in and was at the table practicing away, and probably an hour before we started today they were even in here practicing. So just keeping at it, making sure everything is the same, consistency. Very nicely done. Got on the right side of the blue. So we allude to the right side of the blue. The natural angle after she takes this blue into the middle pocket will force the cue ball to come down to the business end of the table. Uh-oh. Put that one a little wrong there. So we'll see if Tessa can respond. Nice little 31 break by Yee. Looked like she was informed to take the frame at that visit, but an unfortunate in-off on the blue. This left her to reside back to her chair and see what the English woman can do. Great camera angle there to show you what Tessa has to deal with and how large these tables are. 6 feet by 12 feet. And both players striking well. It's like a heavyweight boxing match. Both have brought their A game. Definitely agreed to Woogieman 007. The table may be large, but these pockets are pretty tight. Balls are a bit smaller. Javier Valenzuela plays a lot of snooker in the community here in Seattle. He's on the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the action all weekend long here on the WineCellars.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open of 2024. Our good friend that was in the booth yesterday, Molina Ortiz, plays out of the Legends Club in Portland, Oregon. As their sparring partner Javier on the screen. Yes, Woogie Men, I believe these are pretty similar to the main tour for pocket size. They did have the great Simon Barker coming in to do all the table maintenance beforehand. I think Simon Barker's passport has more stamps than the U.S. Postal Service. That man travels around the world and then some. So both players just having a little discussion as referee Daly looks to spot the cue ball, but he'll check in with both players if they agree. If everyone's in agreement, play on. Well, she was able to hit a red. The unfortunate part is she's left an easy starter for Yee, who has a 16-point advantage in this first frame, best of final, semi-final match. Is there a path for this pink? Or even does she have the black? Looks like she's on the black. Wasn't fortunate for that black to kiss into the cue ball and knock it straight, because once again Tessa has a relatively easy chance to get in. Tessa had a good chance there. Fortunately, it was a tricky red, wasn't an elementary one. She left Yee needing to use the rest, going from one side of the table to the other. It's met all the women in this tournament. Very impressive with the rest. They don't really see it as a hindrance. They see it as an acceptable tool that they need to master to become a great snooker player. Wow. Great black right there. Yeah, I think to ill your rest play, Woogie Man. There was a player up in British Columbia by the name of Gary Spence, and the famous Bill Werbenick noticed that Gary was just absolutely terrible with the rest. So he said, Gary, we're going to have a little match, and we're going to play every shot with the rest, no matter how close or how far. Everything was going to be with the rest. And now Gary's not too bad with it, so all it takes is just get practice and get used to it, that tool. So Yee is showing that practice is paying off. After the tournament and before the tournament started, she's in there. Commentator's curse strikes again. But she's up 34 points with 27 on the table. So Tessa just needs one snooker and then clear all the color balls and force a black ball respot. Green's not in a bad position over there. It looks like she's got one to start off. Should be a tricky escape for Yee, but making her think just a little bit. Yeah, as the frame gets on, a lot of these balls are going to be pushed out of position as pink and brown are close to cushions. Tough for a run out for Tessa. She does get the snooker. Well, Yee spoiled that little hiding place for the green, but it's still kind of just off the cushion. Tessa could possibly get a snooker behind that green at some point in time. Oh, I think she wants to get that shot back. It's not a gimme, but it's definitely a chance for Yee to take this first frame. Yeah, if this double goes in, this will be a one frame advantage for her. Just looked into Play safe. 36 in it and 25 on. Tessa needs 3 snookers. Obviously, in the knockout phase of the tournament, there's no limit on the concession. Where we're in the round robin, when they got to the colors, if more than 3 snookers were required, it would be a concession. It's part used for educational purposes in these tournaments, as we get some new players to the game, and some of them might think that the game ends when all the balls are down in the pockets, but that's not the case in the game of snooker. Sometimes the frame's just so far out of reach that you concede. It's been great to see some of the more experienced players be more kind of mentors and teachers to the young and newer, inexperienced players. Great family atmosphere that we have here at the tournament. I have to say, these women don't really dilly-dally too much. You see the shot, they know what they need to do and get on with business. They don't really, waste a lot of time walking around the table. I definitely think if this green ball goes down in the hands of Yee Ng, that will be probably a concession there. Sometimes you just have to realize it's the first frame. There's plenty of snooker left in this match. Obviously, you want to get that first frame on the board sooner than later. It's getting to be a very interesting area down there with the pink and brown. Tessa can get somewhere in that area. It's a good chance for a snooker. Most of the time when you're laying a snooker, you just kind of want to get in a certain area. If you get tight behind a obtrusive ball, it's all the better. Don't think the blue is in the way there. So you see the mind of just rolling it over the pocket. She's going to try and get a snooker herself. Boogeyman is chiming in with a very random question of, do I have a favorite wine? Whatever you're pouring, Boogeyman, I'm a favorite of. And the great owner-operator Mike Dominguez enjoys a super Tuscany wine. it's a good point of discussion, as you know, our premier sponsor right here is winesellers.com. If you haven't seen their work, it's quite tremendous. They do home and commercial buildings, so definitely look them up, winesellers.com. But with the amount of wine sometimes we drink behind the scenes, I don't think we're needing a cellar. So, with that green gone down, that's a concession there. So Anya takes this first frame of the semifinal match. We'll just step aside for actually a word from our fellow sponsor at winesellers.com. Mike Dominguez giving his great Dr. Claw impersonation there from Inspector Gadget, just an arm. So always good fun here in the booth. But here comes Tessa Davidson, Fast Eddie's own Tessa to break it off. She's left a red out in the open. It is on Yee Feel. Up one frame. Best of 7. I'd be surprised if she refused it. Come to a decider, probably she wouldn't take it on, but early in the match, it will pump up her confidence. Yeah, no harm, no foul. It is true. I think Woogieman, you do need to win a lot of millions. Real estate is definitely, well, I think globally real estate is just going bananas, which always makes it tough to fit in these large 6x12 tables. But here in North America, we do have a lot of space. It's just we like to migrate to the big city centers. Tessa has this red just below those two on the left side. She can cut that into the middle pocket and maybe with the natural angle go through the gap beyond the pink or blue. Like for safe, smart move. Usually the traditional safety exchange is players clipping off balls and running back into bulk, but when some reds start to get up there, the more intelligent shot is just to keep around the top table and push all the reds back up to the bulk end. The tough part to that, if the player is to make a mistake, someone might get in and have a lot of reds up table. The advantage is you have multiple colors for different point values. The unfortunate part is they're the low valued colors, not high like the pink and black. And he's got a few reds. There's a red into the right middle. There's a red into the left middle. Is this where she switches from defense and starts to get into offense? Still going to play defensive, push those reds up table. A lot of respect between both of these opponents. Just might have spoiled the party a little bit. There obviously is a red that's open on the left side, the left middle. But it looks like there's a pathway for the red into the middle, on the right side. Oh, let's now see what Yee can do. It's a tough position to be in your chair. Can't do anything, just hoping that your opponent falters and you get a chance. Up with this blue, there's two reds at the top end of the table. Yeah, I wouldn't mind just stunning into this red and hold for the pink. Be a little low on it so the natural angle will take her back up to the table to where all these reds are. just goes by that red. It looks like, just see the angle from our window, the commentating booth. Very slim, but there's a path. And Yee's found it. Just update you, Faceman. This is the semifinals. But kudos to you. Great nickname there. One of the members of the A team is in the house. Always good to see. Very nicely done. Looks like red closest to the middle. It's tricky, but I think it's there. And it just didn't look like it was going to go. So the thin cut here into the left middle. Be a great saving pot. It's there. Nicely done by Yee. She definitely needed that to continue the break. Well played. Have a little bit of an angle to come off a couple cushions. Well, she missed the black, but the black came to her rescue. Covered up that red to the left middle. So nice little controlled 32 break there by Yee. See if Tessa can respond. I think she'll be happy with that. Didn't give an easy starter for Yee to come back and continue her dominance in the second frame. There's a nasty bit of work queuing over that red ball. And Yee is right now the high break holder, but she does have a break of 90, which she got yesterday. One of her last round robin matches. But I think it's possible we could see a century today. You know, these a little bit more longer frame matches. Sometimes these players like to go for it a little bit more early on. Ooh, a bit unfortunate there for Tessa, as that green has found the bottom of the pocket. always feel all right if you get defeated and just beaten by a better player. But when you start making unforced errors and really beat yourself, that makes the loss even tougher to take. Well, they pushed all the reds up table. Now are they going to push them back down table? Time will tell. Yes, it does have a cut on that red into the right middle. Definitely a good chance here. On Yee on the right side of the blue. Open reds, open pink, open black. I think if she doesn't take the frame here, she'll be kicking herself. Yes, it is true. Butler McDonald. A lot of great events here at Ox. And they do a wonderful job of putting the stream on. And we're getting a little bit of coverage here and there in Canada. I know I put up the BC Open, and the Canadian National Tournament was on last June. So slowly but surely, but definitely Ox is setting the standard for quality. I guess the one trouble part is with our countries, America and Canada, so large, it almost seems like we have pockets, little snooker pockets in the Pacific Northwest, or in the province of British Columbia, or province of Ontario, or in the New England area of America. Where the game flourishes in Britain, it's a lot easier. Pretty much they can be in major cities in a couple hours drive, where it takes quite a while to get to these big snooker hotbeds in Canada and the US. Ooh. 22 break stops there. Slowly makes her way back to the table. Just a little dejected, but then has to have the mind of a goldfish. Forget all that happens. Just look for that next chance. Yeah, I think it's baby steps. Obviously, the gang at Ox Billiards didn't come out guns a-blazing. You know, as Nishi said, one can't fly into flying. One must learn to walk before they can run. If people know their history lessons, or if they've been watching Jeopardy, you know, actually Ox started as bays. Way back in February 2020, things were looking real promising for a great club down in the Pioneer Square area. And then a little nasty thing called a pandemic came around. It really shook things up. But that just shows you the resilience of Mike Dominguez, Jamie Miller, and the whole gang here at Ox. They tightened up their shoelaces and came with another game plan and opened up this beautiful facility. Everything as beautiful as this shot making that Yee is making. She gets down to business. She means it. Interesting too, you know, both noticed with Yee and Mink. Mink, last year's champion, is out of the tournament, but both of them have quite deliberate pauses in their backswing. Kind of an important thing to do just to steady yourself. So this is definitely going to be the second frame towards the woman from Hong Kong. Tessa Davidson not out of it. Well, she could easily just win 2 frames on the spin. As we did see last year's final, Yee stormed ahead 2-0, but then ran into a feisty tie in Mink Nucharat, who won 4 on the spin to win the championship. Yeah, I know those pockets that were so tight early on are opening up as the size of buckets. No real pressure, just almost like a practice exercise right now for Yee, just potting balls at her leisure. Let's see if she can run it out and make a half century. It'll be tricky. A nice brown to develop that yellow.
33.
Oh, don't know if it got enough. Oh, yeah. Still impressive. 91 to 4 victory in that frame. So Tessa concedes, and we'll just step aside for a quick moment before frame 3 to get a word from our sponsor at winesellers.com. And we're back here at the winesellers.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open 2024. Yee, last year's runner-up, looking in the driver's seat right now with a 2-frame advantage, set to break off. I think now you might see if Yee gets a chance to really get in. She might try and kill the frame early, ride that momentum. was definitely giving it a chance. She opened up a thin cut into the right middle here for Tessa. Got to give big love to Fast Eddie's pool room in Bainbury over in the UK. He raised up a lot of money to send Tessa over here. Tessa really appreciates the contribution that they've made, enabled her to come over and play this great tournament. And we're happy to have her over here. Took quite a hiatus from the game, was a very skillful young player in the business of raising a family, came along, stepped away, and has come back with authority. And this is the first semifinal of the day. We've got another semifinal coming up after this with Bex Kenna and Anu Pama Ramachandran. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she does like to go by Anu. Great player from India, knocked out last year's champ last night in a thrilling deciding frame. Very nice cue ball there. Tight to the ball cushion. Tessa's only got the top half of the ball to deal with. Has to concentrate just that much more. Doesn't want to put any unwanted side on it, which always can happen on these shots. A little bit more pace, and she would have played the old classic Cliff Thorburn shot. He brought that shot to the UK when he came over way back in the 1970s, coming off two cushions and clipping off a red and going back into bulk. Just to raise a hand there. Safety was the utmost importance there and just fluked in a plant shot there. And in these best of 7, there is no mid-session interval, so no breaks will be happening. We'll play through. Hopefully, Tessa would like to get a few more frames on the board. Going down 3-0 is a definitely big uphill battle in a best of 7 match. Especially when you have a feisty competitor like Yee. She might be, touted as the favorite right now, as last year's runner-up. But upsets do happen in sports, as we saw last night with Mink dropping out of the tournament. She was very gracious, actually, at dinner last night. I had dinner after the day was done, and she was mentioning that she just wasn't feeling it, wasn't stroking well, and, I can't win everything. It's interesting you mentioned Cliff Thorburn, and, he had a pretty amazing break after a fluke. As we all remember, in 1983, first player ever to make a maximum at the Crucible Theater came when he fluked the first red in. For all our newcomers, a maximum is taking 15 reds with 15 blacks. and then running the colors. Very, very tough thing to do. These professional players just make it look so easy. If you think it's that easy, come down to Ox, grab a snooker cue, and put your hand on the table. Be surprised if you got two. Is there a little path by those? Maybe the two that are together closest to the cue ball. The bottom one might just cut through that gap into the top left corner. It looks like maybe she's going to clip off the other two near the top cushion, come back to the bulk area. Yeah, that horn didn't help her last time, and it didn't help her here. It could have been a lot worse. Might have a little safety battle here. There might be a little plant in there, possibly. What has she spotted with her little eye? No, obviously. Safety was of paramount importance there. Just gotta be careful he doesn't go in off, but you probably take that red that's out in the open, the 4 on the bottom. And you could have a little shot to nothing here. That red in the open just above the red and black. About the left side of that. I think she'll like the result of that one. Tap on the table as acknowledgement from her opponent. Does have an angle. Come back for the blue as the black and pink are really tied up. Be careful this. Just the right amount of thin snick on that red. There's a little bit of danger of canning into a ball and stopping the path of the cue ball. But Tessa was able to find a path safely back to bulk. Always has some res near the top cushion on the left side, but it's just, negotiating through the yellow and brown is just a little bit of an annoyance. Well, she's left a mid-range shot here for Yee. She wants. Yeah, she's really taken away the left side of the table. Very nice shot there. It's tough to get back to bulk, but she found the pathway and avoided the in-off. Yee might come off 2 cushions and get behind that yellow. Actually 3 and find the brown. Hasn't then left that one red open. Be mindful of the in-off. Could go into the top left corner. With this safety exchange, it at least has opened up the pink a little bit. So if a player is going to get in, that is at their advantage. But there's a lot of cherries surrounding that pit. Black ball really tied up for a while. Seems like who's going to falter on the safety exchange? Side Tip is wondering about Mink. Unfortunately, Mink lost in her quarterfinal match last night. So there will be a new champion. Just rattled in the jaws and almost dropped, and I think she might be actually has a saving grace with that brown. Tessa might have to put some swerve on this to get around the brown to take that red. It's right by the top right corner pocket. She's got a shot at the pink. They are very tricky into these side pockets, so I don't blame her for refusing it. If she was to miss, she could have left Yee with a golden opportunity. And already down in the frame, or the match, 2 frames to nothing. Don't want to go even further on an unforced error. There's kind of a flick on that brown. Getting those long pots, just unfortunate. The color it is to be desirable. It's a great stat there by Butler McDonald, acknowledging that these two players have traveled over 11,000 miles to get here. Ning traveled, Anyu traveled about 6,467 miles, he says, from Hong Kong. And Tessa, coming all the way over from the UK, traveled 4,738 miles. Snooker, he always brings out the niche facts, that's for sure. A niche game. They actually have Naratoya. She came all the way from Mongolia. That's quite a trek as well. And the other semi-finalist, Anu, has come from India. So it's great to see that this US Open is quite an ambassador of a global event. Players from all corners of the earth are coming here. Even our referee, Dave Daly, originally from Ireland, but now lives in the Seattle area. And myself, I'm just up the road in Canada, so there's more flags here than the Olympics. Nice red to get things going. It's on the right side of the blue. A few reds out in the open. Pinks open. Beautifully done. Woogie Man 007 mentioned our good friend Dave Hendon. It's quite interesting, the list of Daves in this game. I've got two with you right now today. That's in Dave Daly, the referee, and I'm Dave Burney in the commentary booth. Then there's our good friend Dave Hendon. Remember David Vine, David Gilbert, the player. So the list goes on. Maybe they put that D on the table for a reason. Almost like that great Kids in the Hall song, These Are the Days I Know. These are the days in snooker we know. Nice little 22 break and build in here for Yee. Good chance to get this third frame, build up a commanding lead. Just might have broken down a little bit there. He's going to need a tough recovery shot here. Only with a 40-point lead, 65 on the table. This frame just ain't over just yet. That's what she's got to deal with right there. Wow, great recovery. Ends on the pink. Fantastic shot. After some great recovery shots, just broke down on that one. She's got a 47-point advantage, but 59 on the table and an easy starter here for Tessa. How does she respond? Aaron Moss chiming in. Wants to know the highest break so far is 90 in the tournament. Yee had that yesterday. Aaron Moss, who did a great deal of work here refereeing. We appreciate his help in the tournament. And his lovely lady friend Renee providing all of us with some delicious jelly. We appreciate the gifts tremendously. So I think Yee's going to appreciate that gift of a red. Just a gentle stun shot here on the red to be on the right side of the blue. Hopefully to come down and disturb one of these reds that's on the top table. Top cushion, I should say. But, oh. It was a touch shot, but just a little too touchy there. Nice shot that by Tessa. Good angle to disturb these reds on the top cushion. It's all happening now. Players are missing what we expect them to make. I don't think there's a pathway now for that right along the cushion, so safe shot here by Yee. In the driver's seat in this frame. Up by 45 with 43 on the table. So Tessa does need one snooker. Always with reds on the table, if you have that last red, there's a chance of a free ball as well. So many scenarios could play out here in the third frame. That black is pretty covering up that pocket. I don't think there's a little sneaky path for the red to get by. Decent opportunity. Did that not drop? Fortunately, this looks really straight. But she can draw back just a little bit. She'll be queuing down on the ball. She could have the black into the top corner pocket. Just don't get behind that yellow. Oh. There's places on the table that you don't want to be after the shot, and that is a place where you don't want to be after that shot. She's trying it there. So there's a concession there. So Tessa Davidson, all the way from England, has an uphill battle against last year's runner-up as Yee takes that third frame to lead 3 frames to nothing in this best-of-7 semifinal match. We'll be right back with frame 4 after this short break. And here we're back with frame 4 with Tessa Davidson to break off to get things started. She's got an uphill battle. I think you're probably going to see Yee take on maybe a more tougher shot than usual. You know, she won't. She might elect to be more aggressive in this frame with a 3-0 advantage. It's just the first match of Championship Sunday here at the WineCellars.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open 2024. Yee looking to book her card into the finals again. She does have a commanding lead in this match. But as we saw last night, Tessa was down to Narutoya. She battled back, forcing the decider, even was trailing in the decider, battled back, played some telling snookers. So you're never out until you're out. As Yogi Berra once said, it ain't over till it's over. Full ball kiss on that green. We'd like to have a little snick on the cheek almost and shoot it towards the brown. She's left a long red for Yee here. Very nice try. You know, being up 3-0, she's definitely going for those. Yeah, this left a little tester there for Tessa. Just don't know what kind of color she fancies after that red in the middle open of the left side. Just going to come on the bottom side of this red by the right cushion. Take your cue ball off the top cushion, get into bulk. that shot, she might have just popped up just a little early on the shot. You want to keep that head really still. I like to tell people, move your head when you can hear the ball go into the bottom of the pocket with these mesh nettings. It's a nice little jingle. A very delayed head movement there on Yee. Pretty much referee Daly was getting the black ball out of the pocket, and then she decided to move her head. Got to this black, that red, the 2 in line that her cue ball's closest to. It should go into the top left, and that might free up that other red that's on the left side that's in the open of those kind of 4. So she's probably thinking about it, but then when she gets down on this black, it's all about it. Can't be thinking ahead. Gotta stay in the moment. That clip might still be up on WST's YouTube page, World Snooker Tour. I had the pleasure of having Yee in the booth last year. Actually, ironically enough, when Mink had a century. But it was nice to hear Yee's kind of philosophy. She's always thinking, about 3 shots ahead, but then when she's down on the shot, there's only one in mind. It's a tricky shot to keep the break going, but we've seen her make a lot more difficult shots. And the acrobatic skills there of Tessa to hold that rest in a very peculiar position. Big black here, natural angle is going to take her into these reds. Since black needs to find the bottom of the pocket or she's going to be in trouble. Pathway for that red. I don't think it goes by the pink. Well, how do you like that? Just a little chuckle to herself, raises of a hand. Great to hear the support for Tessa. Good fan base out there. Well, they're probably all glued to their TV sets over there at Fast Eddie's in Bainbury, England. Really helped Tessa achieve this dream of participating in the WineCellars.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open. Hopefully someday in the not too distant future we can have really lucrative prize pots. But for right now, a lot of these women that travel to these tournaments that's come from all over the globe, as we've seen, kind of making it a little vacation as well. Chance to see the Pacific Northwest and the beautiful trees that don the landscape out here. Very nice pot. Very tricky going all over those reds that she had to deal with. Would love to get the black ball back on its spot sooner than later. Might come in a few shots time. So Tessa has a very nice chance here to just put her cue ball tight behind the yellow. Playing a little aggressive, going for the pot. Very nicely done. That is just glued to the black there. The one saving grace Tessa might have had if there was a little bit of space at that red on the side cushion. It could have been a saving grace, but on Yee just plays a devilish snooker right there. As you can see, look how tight that cue ball is to the black. Just painting it. Let's go back a few times. It's a better second attempt. And it's there. Well done. Wow. Tremendous shot there. Used all of the pocket to get in there. But she might just sneak up behind this green. Very nice. Just a thin hit on that. Great temperament that Yee has there. You know, sometimes you're up 3-0 with one frame to win. You want to push the issue, but she kind of took her medicine and had a great snooker there on Tessa behind the green. Tessa equally responded with a great shot, but acknowledges that good shot by Yee. Referee Daly just coming to take a look, just in case it needs to be respotted. good path back to bulk. So as the reds get a little bit more separated away from the cherry tree, they'll get spaced out. So paramount importance of getting a good cue ball back into bulk for Tessa and her supporters. Doesn't want to give Yee an easy chance and a lot of open reds to continue to score heavily. She has a 16-point advantage in this fourth frame. Just is mindful of the black queuing over. Doesn't want any fiber of her clothes to touch it. Very nice pot there. And was just a little elevated. Couldn't get the bridge arm down solid on the table. Just checking to see if that pink goes by the red. Maybe she's checking if the red she can be positioned for that. That's by the pink. I thought she might have been going brown, red that she's close by into the right middle and then come back for the pink. But taking this red on left of the pink really opens up the pink. Nice shot. Great angle on the blue. It's got this red into the opposing middle pocket. Pink just to stun on. Showed that red open to the cluster of three. Nice shot there. Developed some reds. Stayed onto the pink. Great chance for frame end match here. For Yee. Just needs to settle her nerves. She's not there just yet. Just take it one shot at a time. Just dance around the pink like she was the Pink Panther. Is this pink going to interfere? It's tough to tell from this camera angle.
32.
Doesn't look like it. Looks like she's okay. This is her frame ball right here, this red. It's been a nice controlled break of 33 and building. Ganye's going to be a back-to-back finalist. Tessa did have a few chances here. Definitely when Yee had her chances, she got in and scored heavily. I'm sorry to disappoint all the fans there at Fast Eddie's. And they were really rooting for Tessa. Can't say enough kind words about what you did to help Tessa to get over here. We really appreciate that. Hopefully a lot more people like yourselves can do that. Dig deep in your pockets, maybe make a little fundraiser at your pool and snooker room to get your local player into one of these prestigious tournaments. Unfortunately, today it's not Tessa's day. However, she will be battling in the Senior Open, or the Senior Championship of this tournament against Marianne McConnell. So, all might not be lost. Unfortunately, won't be streamed. We'll be streaming this other semifinal match, but we'll keep you updated as that match progresses. There's a nice half century there, 53 and counting for Yee.
53.
Nice to see her finish maybe with an 80. See, it will be tricky going pink to black. But there's not a lot of interference at that time. If she can get there. Oh. And the commentator curse happens there, but a shake of the hands. Well done, Yee. A whitewash victory over Tessa Davidson. Yee will be in this year's WineCellars.com U.S. Women's Snooker Open. And we're probably going to step aside for about 40 minutes time. Our next semifinal match stated to get underway at 12:30 Pacific time. Going to be a great one. Vexkana taking on Anu Pama Ramana-chan. Pronouncing that name right. It's the first time I met her, but she does like to go by Anu. So stand by for that, everybody. So get a nice cool drink, and we'll be back in about 40 minutes time. It's David Burney saying, see you then.